This podcast is brought to you by Customplan Financial Advisors, Inc., an independent insurance managing general agency in Canada. Financialpodcast.ca was developed with one goal in mind: to educate Canadians on important topics that affect their financial well-being and make it readily available to all. We welcome you to plug in and learn with us. If you have questions, please email us at contact@financialpodcast.ca.
Hello, and welcome to the Financial Podcast. My name is Gary Poyer. The Financial Podcast is brought to you by Customplan Financial Advisors, an award-winning managing general agency that provides exceptional support and resources to the independent financial advisor. Please visit customplanfinancial.com to see all of the resources that are available to you as an independent financial advisor. Today, we'll be focusing our attention on the exempt markets, what they are, how they work, and how they're different from the more traditional investment markets. And to help us understand what an exempt market is, we have with us today Sheila Nielsen, a private wealth advisor from Raintree Financial Solutions. Welcome, Sheila.
Thanks, Gary. Happy to be here.
Well, it's very nice to have you. Sheila, please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and a little bit about Raintree Financial Solutions.
Well, I grew up on a farm in East Central Alberta and learned many valuable life lessons there. Once I graduated, I went off to university and studied commerce. I have a commerce degree. I also studied a lot of computer programming. So I worked as a programmer analyst with, at the time, AGT for 10 years. And then I took a break when our kids were born and raised them. And I've always had an interest in personal finance and looked after our own finances. And I was getting increasingly frustrated with the performance of our portfolio and started looking for alternatives. So at that time, I learned about private investing, exempt market, and that sort of thing. And as I learned more, I was intrigued and interested enough in it that I wanted to pursue it more. And I became a licensed dealing representative through Raintree Financial Solutions back in 2012, so just over 10 years ago. Raintree the head office is in Edmonton. They have been around since 2010.
Okay. Oh, very good. I didn't realize you'd been in the business as long as you have been, but that's excellent. Mm-hmm. Sheila, let's start off by defining what the exempt market is.
Well, it's also known as a private capital market. So public securities that most people know about are sold through a prospectus, which is a document filed with securities regulators. This can be an expensive process and it significantly increases the cost of capital. So exempt market securities are exempt from having to file a prospectus and aren't publicly traded like stocks and bonds. Instead, you access these investments through an exempt market dealer.
Okay. And what is an exempt market dealer?
So an exempt market dealer, or it's often shortened to EMD, is a firm that has been licensed to distribute these investment securities that haven't been qualified for a prospectus, okay, but are exempt from that prospectus requirement, hence exempt market. So that's based on rules and regulations that each province sets for the EMD. So EMD is registered to carry on the business in those provinces. So an EMD has to be registered under securities regulation of the province where they perform their dealing activities. They have regulated standards that have to make sure they know their investments, know their client, maintain appropriate knowledge and proficiencies, resolve complaints in a timely fashion, have reasonable insurance, and most importantly, treat clients fairly, honestly, and in good faith. So as a dealing representative, which I am, I have to be licensed through an EMD. So the EMD I'm licensed through is Raintree Financial Solutions.
Okay. So not just anybody can sell exempt market products. You obviously have to take courses and be qualified.
That's correct. Yeah, you have to take Exempt Market course and pass that, and then become registered through a dealership, and yeah.
Okay. And what makes private capital investments different from publicly traded stocks and bonds or mutual funds?
So in Canada, companies that you invest in are not allowed to issue securities unless they file a prospectus, which can be an expensive process and increase the cost of capital. So most people think about the Fortune 500 companies when they think about stocks and bonds and whatnot. Private capital investments are different because they are purchased with an exemption from the prospectus. So this gives Canadians access to unique investment classes that act and perform differently than the traditional investments that most retail investors know. Large institutional investors have been investing this way for years to help diversify part of their portfolio away from the systemic risks of the stock market. So private capital investments can allow investors to indirectly invest in tangible assets and in unique investment opportunities. So some examples of these types of investments are real estate, so everything from development land to farmland, multifamily, residential housing, self-storage, industrial real estate, and private equity, which is private businesses, and lending opportunities. So a wide variety of things.
Okay. Did I hear you say that institutional investors, such as like pension funds, invest in exempt market products?
Yes, they've been doing that for years. They used to have access to things that weren't not available to retail investors, but now with the exempt market dealership model that allows everyday average Canadian investors to invest in private investments as well.
Really? I did not know that. It's kind of find that interesting.
Yeah.
So how do the risks compare to publicly traded stocks and mutual funds?
Well, all investing is risky, including private capital. But one of the key risks and differences with the exempt market is that there's very limited resale rights. So this is often called lack of liquidity. So unlike public stocks where you can buy and sell on a public stock exchange, private investments can't typically be resold and may or may not have redemption rights. So this means your investments are tied up for a period of time. So these types of investments are suitable for longer time horizons for part of your portfolio. Mm-hmm. But this lack of liquidity is also one of the reasons why the private investing is different and can be a good diversification tool. So in our opinion, the success of your private capital investments is based more on the management team's ability to execute the business objectives and profitability rather than on the public market sentiment. So because private capital isn't traded on an exchange, their popularity on any given day won't impact their value. The value of the public investments like stocks and bonds can fluctuate daily based on any number of reasons, often not related to the activity of that particular company or predatory large volume trading activities, that sort of thing. So, but there are lots of risks with these investments. You know, operating a business, there are risks with that, and general economic conditions, and many other risks. But that systemic risk of the public markets sentiment changing day to day is not one of the risks with these.
Okay. So how can an investor purchase private capital investments if they're not traded on an exchange?
So to buy an investment like this, you have to qualify for an exemption from the prospectus requirement that typically applies to distributions. So part of my job is to determine whether or not you qualify for one of these exemptions, and that's based on either income or net worth. Also, I need to determine whether these types of investments are suitable for you based on risk tolerance, time horizon, investment objectives, and any other relevant details. So, and then I can provide you a list of the investments that Raintree has reviewed and approved for distribution, and help you learn about the pros and cons of each, as well as techniques to diversify your portfolio to help mitigate risks.
Okay, so not everybody out there in the world would qualify for an exempt market product.
No, it's based on eligibility and suitability. So first of all, the eligibility, whether your income or your and that can be individually or with your spouse, or your net income is enough to invest in this. Mm-hmm. But also the suitability. So you might be eligible, but maybe your risk tolerance is very low, or your time horizon is very short, or just for whatever reason I don't think it's suitable for you, then I won't let you invest. It has to work for you and your circumstances.
Okay, so on the flip side, then, and this is a question that just came to mind. How does a private company, become eligible to have their company eligible as an exempt market product?
So that's part of the job of the dealership. So anybody looking to raise money, they through the exempt market, they would talk to dealerships to be listed on their shelf, as we say. So the dealership does a fairly rigorous due diligence process on the whatever the offering is in the issuer, and determine, do the numbers make sense? What kind of experiences the management team has? What is the offering? Does it make sense, and that sort of thing? Right. So that's a fairly extensive process. So once they've checked all the boxes and it gets approved, then we list it on our shelf, as we call it, and then us advisors will learn about it and present it to our clients.
Do you have startups on the shelf? Like, is it possible for a brand new company to be listed on your product shelf?
It's possible, not as likely, I would say. We're looking for management teams that have extensive experience, and not to say, like, some of the offerings we have they're new to that management team, but the management team has a lot of experience in other in other projects and whatnot. So it's an extensive process.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So, in the past, I was a financial advisor, and I talked to clients about their RSP and locked-in plans and so forth. Are private investments eligible for registered plans like an RSP or RIF, LIRA, RESP?
Yes, most of them. Not all of them, but most of them are eligible for all of the registered plans, RSP, TFSA, LIRAs, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is your role? Like, I understand you're a private wealth advisor. What is your role in the process?
So my role is to stay current and understand all of the investment offerings we have available, talk to potential investors and educate them on the exempt market, tell kind of what we're doing here today, talk about what it is, how it's different from the public markets, determine eligibility and suitability, collect all the relevant information. And then if I determine it is suitable and they are eligible, then I would present some investment options for them to review. We look at the pros and the cons, the costs, the fees, time horizon, all of those things. And then, if that checks out, then make some investment. So there's no cost to meet with me, and all sales compensation is paid by the issuers, and that is fully disclosed up front before you make any decisions.
Okay. And Sheila, do you, a lot of traditional investment advisors, they have a book of business that they grow. Is that the way it works with Raintree Financial Solutions? You have the book of business and then you grow your book? Is that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. And how do you grow your business? Like, how do you find your clients?
Oh, well, I've gone to networking events, and my existing clients sometimes have referred me to other people, and just, just in chatting with people, we sometimes get into that conversation. And a lot of people still don't know about the exempt market or private investing. So it's, I consider myself an educator. I like to tell people about it, whether maybe it suits them, maybe it doesn't, but it's good education.
Okay, and then just one final question. Are exempt markets more geared toward the wealthy individual, or is that maybe too simplified or simplistic?
Well, you do have to have a certain risk tolerance and a certain, it's not for beginner investors for sure, and with investors with limited assets, I would say it is more for more experienced and seasoned investors, I would say.
Okay.
Not to say that younger investors can't invest, but we would just dip their toes in slowly and build up over time.
Okay, it looks like we're just about out of time for today's podcast on exempt markets. Thank you again, Sheila, for being our guest today and for providing such great value and insight. It is very much appreciated. Sheila, how can our audience get in touch with you?
Well, you could phone me at 403-305-9284 or send me an email at snielsen@raintree.com. So that's SNIELSEN @raintree.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you once again to our sponsor, Customplan Financial Advisors. Customplan Financial Advisors is an award-winning MGA providing exceptional support and resources to the independent financial advisor. Please visit their website at customplanfinancial.com. This podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and at financialpodcast.ca. To be notified directly when new podcasts are available, please subscribe by visiting financialpodcast.ca. If you have an idea or a topic for a podcast or know of someone who would make a great guest, please send an email to info@financialpodcast.ca. We'd also love to receive your feedback. Thank you again, Sheila, and to everyone else, have a fabulous day.
Thank you.
The views expressed here are those of the participants and not those of Customplan Financial Advisors, Inc., its affiliates, or subsidiaries. This is not intended to serve as a complete analysis of every material fact regarding any company, industry, or security. This presentation may contain forward-looking statements. Investors are cautioned not to place undue reliance on such statements, as actual results could vary. This site and podcasts are for general information purposes only and does not constitute investment advice and is not intended as an endorsement of any specific investment product or service. Individual investors should consult with an investment professional about their personal situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results. If you are unsure about what is the best course of action for you in your financial planning, then we suggest you consult a fee-based independent financial advisor or get in touch with us to discuss your individual situation. Our phone number is 604-687-7773.